again, I've seen crazy things in baseball.
Yeah.
And who knows? Santiago was trying
We're always getting to the punchline.
Everybody froze.
Oh, you?
Is West froze?
No. We're all here. You froze again.
I have no punchline.
Well, no. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the second half edition of the BallNine Roundhouse. Want to go around, say hello, Kevin Kernan, AMBS. How you doing, brother?
Doing great. Happy
Excellent.
4th of July. Got my my retro Jacksonville Sun shirt on with my birthday, July 4th. So
Nice.
that's what we're doing here.
I like
Look at
it.
it. Right there, that's the July 4th jersey for the Ogden Raptors.
Nice.
And it was one of my favorites, so it's fitting there, Kev.
I'm sensing a theme. And with the Ogden Raptors jersey. What's going on, Wes Clemens? How are you, sir?
I am fabulous. Great to be back with the crew. It's been a while. What, a month? I mean, if we go a month, talking, people are out there aching to hear what we have to say because they all agree with us.
Everyone always agrees with us. That we know that. That's not even a question. Rocco Constantino is here, our ombudsman. How's it going, brother? What's going on?
Going good. I don't have a jersey or shirt on. I got my She Gone Nation shirt on for Jeff Fry, though.
Nice.
So that's what I got. So
Nice. Little Friar love.
there you go.
Excellent. And I am Chris Vitali with your George Costanza list of Yankee greats. Anyhow, we're going to get into our second half of Major League Baseball, of Manfred League Baseball, too.
The leadoff.
We saw some strange things happen in the last couple days. We're coming out of the All-Star break, which was obviously kind of strange with everybody wearing pajamas. Kevin, you had mentioned that in your column. Aside from everybody looking so damn comfortable, what'd you think about that?
Yeah, it was pretty despicable. Really, that's the word I'm thinking of. But I mean, it's. I can't. Could you imagine being in that room? Like, say there were 4 people in there, you know, and then or more, making that decision. But whoever came up with this, and for everybody to sign off on it, these are the people in charge of baseball. This is why baseball has so many crazy things and bad things happening, even though it has the greatest athletes, you know, of any generation. But it's run by people who put pajamas on people for the All-Star game. And also, if you were a little heavy, could you imagine if CC Sabathia was in one of those jerseys? I mean, God, the old CC. CC is pretty pumped right now.
It's huge.
Yeah, but you know, it was sad to see. Didn't watch much of the game, got to be honest. You know, it's a boring game. They've lost me with so much in the game. Did watch the home run derby. Great to see Dave Jouse. To me, Dave Jouse is a baseball lifer, and we are in contact with a lot of baseball lifers. And great week for Dave Jouse. He's the greatest BP pitcher, and we all saw that. He grouped them one after another, right in where Alonso wanted him. But you know, he goes all the way back to Rojas's dad, Felipe Alou, managed for him way back when, and that's the connections of baseball. And when he managed in that system, there was a guy named Vlad Guerrero that came through, you know, and Vlad Jr. just won the MVP of the All-Star game. So again, I love all those like we all do. Those are the things that make baseball interesting, not the pajamas. I'd love to know what the sales of the pajamas were because I know the ratings. I think the ratings were the lowest ever, but if I'm wrong on that, Rocco will get me later. And that's where we're at. I did love the I love the home run derby's fine. You know, home run derby's great. Just shouldn't be every day of the game, every day of the year in the games.
I agree with you 100%. And it was entertaining. It wasn't crazy about the format that they do now, timed. I used to like the 10 outs. You know, you hear Chris Berman doing his back. You know, I mean, it was entertaining. Now you have to watch it on a split screen, so you have no idea what the hell's going on. I want to see where Joust is putting the ball, but at the same time, I want to see where the ball lands. So it's kind of a weird format. We also saw the draft on that weekend. Wes, I know, I mean, you're a college baseball guy. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on who really hit it big in this last MLB draft.
I got to be honest with you. I didn't pay attention to who hit it big as much as I paid attention to some Pac-12 guys locally here on the West Coast as much as anything. And with the draft being reduced and things like that, I will say this: there's a kid, Dante Williams, Arizona center fielder, and you might have seen him during the Super Regionals and Regionals. I believe he went in the 4th round, and he went to I believe the Orioles. He's a steal in my book. He's going to be a steal. He can flat out fly. He's got power. He ran down everything. He was the catalyst of that dynamic Arizona offense that led the country in scoring runs. So, I mean, that's just one that I did notice, and I was interested to find out where he was going to go. Of course, Matt McClain from UCLA went in the 1st round, a little bit lower. Kumar Rocker, I thought might drop some. He didn't. I thought he would. I believe the Mets got him.
Yep.
But I thought he was going to drop a little bit just because of the velocity issue that he had early in the year, like probably 30 games into the season. He lost a little velo. Some people started to be concerned. And then again, he didn't pitch stellar in Omaha. Leiter did, but Rocker did not. So I thought he might slip a little. He didn't, and I'm happy for him. He had a great college career.
Yeah, I agree with you. Now, I mean, Rocco, you're a Mets fan. I mean, the first thing you said to me was you couldn't believe it when that he dropped to 10 to the Mets. Of course, I can tell while you're even texting, because that's the only time you use exclamation points is when you're excited about the Mets. You're just like, fast track him. What do you think about Rocker and fitting in with that rotation? And I know you're happy about it. From a development aspect, when do you realistically think he's going to help the team?
I mean, you have to see how how it goes and everything, but I don't see any reason that he couldn't be fast tracked if he got some of his command issues settled a little bit. If he has a good showing, this year, whatever's left of this year and then next year as well. I mean, I don't think there's any, he's a little bit older. So 2023, he makes his debut. I wouldn't be surprised at that. Of course it depends on how he develops, but I was happy about it. He's a big guy. He's a horse. Somebody put there, not that he's Bob Gibson or anything, but somebody put their motions side by side, and it was pretty compelling with that. It got me all excited. So I was happy to see them spend their money on, nice big sturdy traditional righty as opposed to some little middle infielder that they usually seem to throw their 1st round picks at.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And, I'll stay on the Mets for a second. I mean, we saw some funky stuff go on this week. Kevin, I know you've seen it. From Edwin Diaz pointing up like it's a pop fly, and, next thing you know, it's a freaking game-winning grand slam, to what happened yesterday. Going to let you talk about that a little bit, because I know you watched that intently.
Well, a couple things. First of all, with Rocker, why not bring him up soon? The way the Mets are going, why not? I mean, the kid was just in the College World Series. Trial by fire right here at this point. If he's not ready, I did talk to some scouts. They are genuinely concerned, because of the way his velocity dropped. But you never know how that goes, and a tweak here or there, and he could be fine. But the Mets, in general, and also I feel for these guys when they come up with, even now DeGrom has a forearm issue. I have a little bit of a rotator cuff thing going on, and it's hard for me to even drink coffee. So yeah. I can't even imagine what it's like for these guys pitching. But two quick points, very quick. 6-0, the Mets are ahead, they lose. 6-0, the Pirates are ahead, they lose. I think that's the baseball in the weekend. We just saw it. And Dave Giles, getting back to Dave, he does a great job in the home run derby. Then he fills in the 1st inning. He becomes the manager, and he leads them back to a comeback win. That was incredible. So what a week he had. But there's one play I want to talk about with the Mets game. It just shows everything that's wrong with baseball. And again, I played, I coached, I've seen a million games. Walker flips the ball away when he thinks it's foul, doesn't chase it. J.D. Davis puts his hands on his head. Nito starts arguing or doing whatever Nito does, counting runners. I think he was counting runners to see who scored. He really was. Nobody gets the ball. Follow the ball. What did Derek Jeter do when he made one of the greatest postseason plays of all time? Follow the ball. That tells, and then there's no accountability. No accountability. The manager comes out and is all over the ump when the ump made the right call. He should have been yelling at Walker like that. Yeah. It's what's going on in the game. If they don't fix it, the game is dead. And then the other play, I don't know if you guys saw the Diamondbacks play.
Oh.
It might be the worst play. I thought I saw the worst play already this year when the first baseman went back to home. Mm-hmm. And Baez was praised by all the media. Oh, how smart he was. No, he was dumbass. All you had to do was you could have still thrown to first after 2 runs scored, and he would have been out. No runs would have counted. So, but when Calhoun, the throw comes in from first base, Calhoun's running down the line. He hit the ball to first base, and it almost takes his head off. So he goes flying. The helmet comes off because that's the other thing. None of them wear helmets that fit anymore for some reason. They don't fit. They come off all the time. And so instead of just going on to first base, he actually goes back to pick up his helmet, and he never really hustles. The catcher calls time basically because he has him. He thinks he had him at home. Great play at home, got him out. Then all of a sudden he says, wow, that guy's not at first base. What the hell happened? Throws to first double play. And this is my point. No accountability. He's got to be benched the next minute. You got to take him out of the game. What would Gil Hodges do in that situation? And until baseball gets its act right, we're going to see plays like that. And, it's the first time I ever used the term clown show in 2 games in the same day.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. I mean, and what surprised me about Calhoun is he's not some kid. He's not some call-up. I mean, he's been around a few years. And I mean, I watched him a lot.
There's no doubt he played hard. But it's all about what's important to these guys. Yeah. What was important to him at that point was, getting his helmet for some reason. The great term in baseball, you hear it all the time, brain fart. I mean, I was at a game way back when, 88, I believe. Benny Santiago's catching, and I don't know if anybody remembers this. I think it was Manny Trillo was a Padre game. Leading off second base, there's an intentional walk going on. On the intentional walk, Benny tried to pick off Trillo on I think it was Manny Trillo on a intentional walk to Mark Grace. Nobody sees the ball because it's in the gloaming, as they say, and the throw comes in, almost kills Robbie. Later on, Robbie tells me he never saw the ball. If it had hit him, it would have hit him directly in the head. He never would have had his Hall of Fame career. He would have been dead. So things like that happen in baseball. Santiago was trying to make a play at least. The other guys, what happened yesterday, they just a brain fart to the 10th degree. Yeah. And here's my whole point on this. They're allowing little things to go wrong. They're never corrected. So big things sometimes go wrong because the little things are never corrected, and that's where we are.
I agree with you. It's like a domino effect. A bunch of little things go wrong, all of a sudden the whole building topples.
If I can piggyback on what Kev said.
You absolutely can.
See, this is the expectations, and I've been saying this for a long time, the expectations of what players are responsible for now are at the lowest they've ever been in the history of the game. They have the cards to remind them everything to do. So they got pitchers pulling out cards on the mound to remember how many hitters on an opposition, 10, 12 hitters. Catchers pulling out cards to put down what pitch in this count.
Or the little wristband Tom Brady thing.
The outfielder in center field is trying to figure out where to play this guy. My point is, we've been over this, but I've said this forever. The less responsibility you give players, your athletes, the less you can expect from them. And this is exactly what we see. But it's perpetuated everywhere across the league. I will say this, Cole Calhoun has never had a problem playing the game hard. He's always played the game hard. In fact, that's why he's been in the big leagues. I mean, because of defense, and he plays the game hard, and he'll lay out. In fact, he made a play last night where he dove, got up to his feet real quick, and tried to throw them. But the play at first, I mean, if you're a listener to this, just think about a left-handed hitter hit a ball to the first baseman. And he's running up the right side of the first baseline, and he's got a duck on a throw. If he's got a duck on a throw, that throw had to go to the screen. It had to, because the angle of a throw coming in is never going to be where Cole's at. It's impossible for the catcher to catch that throw. So I don't even know why he was going down. I mean, I really don't. I have no idea. Back up to the Mets closer. Was it him the other night that said Lindor helps him?
Well, Rojas said that he was basically his emotional support puppy.
You got to get another closer. Because
exactly. Great point.
When you have a closer that needs a teddy bear, and obviously we're being sarcastic about this, and this is not to discount how players interact with other and how they can give them confidence or whatever it is. But when you have somebody that's going to have the ball in the most important part of the game that uses that as a possible reason, you got to move on. You got to go get another closer.
I agree with you. I mean, I don't know if it's a mindset thing, but I mean, you can't run him out there in the postseason and expect to win at this point, can you?
Well, I don't know.
Kimbrel will be available, to your point.
Yeah, but I bet you somebody else is too. Iglesias from the Angels is available right now if they bumped it up, because the Angels, as far as postseason go right now, probably not going to happen. Yeah. And Iglesias is not going to get re-signed. Not at all. He's free. So, I mean, he's the guy that they need, and he has been absolutely sensational out here for the Angels. But they're going to have to pay him next year. But they got to move on from this kid.
I mean, I personally think, I mean, I don't wait till the deadline. I mean, you have to get somebody in there soon. I mean, the lead is down to 2 games in the NL East. You know, I mean, I know, you know, Phillies are playing pretty well. I don't know what the hell's going on with the Braves. Everybody's hurt. But I mean, again, Rocco, I mean, like, what do you think? I mean, addressing that situation, if you're play Sandy Alderson for a second. So, you know, how are you addressing that situation? Are you moving Diaz to a less demanding role? Are you going out and getting somebody? I mean, what do you see happening here?
I mean, I think they'd stick with Diaz, to be honest with you. I mean, he's been pretty a lot better this year. You know, there are relievers on the market, and I think they absolutely should grab one. I mean, we saw last year they weren't averse to moving a closer out of the role, even if it was for a week at a time. You know, they've taken Diaz out and let other guys do it who are hot. You know, the Mets, if you look at the races and the pennant races, there aren't a ton of close races. The Mets are probably in the closest one now. I agree with you completely. Why wait for the deadline? You know, every game is important here. They need reinforcements, whether it be, you know, a bat or help or a starter. I think Cohen's going to do something. I really do. But you're right. Why wait for the deadline? Let's go for it now.
Yeah. No, I mean, to your point, I'm going to unbud you right now. And, yeah, NL East, you know, Mets are up by 2, then the Braves are 4 back, the Nationals are only 6 back. But, you know, the NL West, you have the NL West, too.
They all stink.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, nobody in that. Yeah, but, I mean, nobody has 50 wins in that division. Then you look at the NL West, you have 3 teams: Giants with 58 wins, Dodgers with 58 wins, Padres with 55. I mean, that's got to be the division to watch. I mean, you're going to see all 3 of these teams make the playoffs.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's what I meant. I should have been more clear. It's pretty much the division decided. I'm with Kevin. The Mets will probably pull away with but you know, it's up for debate with Phil. Brewers are winning the Central. One of those 3 teams in the West is winning, and the other 2 will be the wild card. So really, the NL East is the only division where you're just not sure, you know, most likely who's going to win. I guess baseball, anything could happen, but Brewers, Dodgers, Giants, and Padres will all be in the playoffs.
I agree with you, and I got to tell you that NL West wildcard game would probably be a blast to watch, whoever it is. And it kind of sucks that it's only one game.
Your Mets, they're not going far in the postseason at all with that offense. I mean, that is, I posted the other day, they're 4 hitters away from even being, if they had the Nationals offense, they'd be 15 games up. The Nationals can swing. They got a lineup up and down. They can swing the pole. They can't pitch.
Mm-hmm.
They just can't pitch. But they have to do something. They're going to move. I mean, Conforto, I don't know if somebody's going to take him, but he's got to go. I mean, I know he hit the home run, but if you're relying on him to be that guy, he's not that guy. He's just not that guy.
There's an X factor there I want to mention. There's an X factor I want to mention with the Mets. A lot of the Mets, from what I've heard, are going to Steve Cohen's house for dinner, individually. So you got to understand the owner's going to be involved, and maybe he likes Conforto, and maybe they've been talking about an extension. So you're going to have an owner kind of messing up the soup, so to speak, literally with what they're doing now. So it's going to be very interesting what the Mets do, because you're making two hard-ass decisions, really, with Diaz and Conforto. But if they're having relationships with these guys, it could be a whole different world.
I mean, do you think that's a little too hands-on
from
an owner standpoint?
Yeah. And if I'm a manager, I don't want any part of that, because what are you going to talk about? You're going to talk about how the manager, you're probably going to rip the manager, because managers can always be ripped. Or you can rip the front office, because front office can always be ripped. So I think it's a very unhealthy situation. I think it's great if Cohen's has a relationship with his players, but not a decision-making relationship. And I understand that Lindor is very, very, very close to him. So there's a lot going on there.
Well, I mean, he's a guy that's got. When is he coming back from injury?
Oblique. You never know.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Never heard of that injury before, but
Pip Roberts was the first one I heard of when I covered the Padres way back when. First oblique I ever heard of.
Really? It was funny. I was listening to the radio in the car the other night. Steve Sax said that he had one when he came over to the Yankees, and he missed like 3 weeks in spring training. And I didn't know Steve Sax even had an oblique like John Kruk. But I mean, not like he's built like John Kruk, but these obliques and the injuries. I mean, again, that's going to lead me to the. We've seen what the Yankees have done against Boston the last 2 nights. Nobody knows who the hell half of these guys are. It's basically AAA Scranton Wilkes-Barre that's playing against the Red Sox, and they're playing well. They're playing small ball. They're actually, last night, Odor's bunting. You're seeing guys go first to third. You're seeing, a run and hit happened. I couldn't believe what the hell I was seeing. And you're starting to see that a little more across the game. Not enough, nearly, but you're starting to see it a little bit more. Now, do you think that maybe there's a little shift to like, okay, maybe we do actually need to play freaking baseball again, to entertain the fans, but more importantly, to win games? Rocco, what do you do you think we're seeing a little bit more of this? Do you think it's going to continue in the second half, or do you think it's just it's just been a weird week?
Yeah, it'll trickle in, I think. But if teams start winning that way, if the Yankees, the next time they go out and play the Red Sox, do the same thing and sweep them or win 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 4, then teams will start to take notice. It'll take a little bit here and there. The Royals in 2015 played that way and won the World Series, and it didn't lead to things that, the way we thought they would. So it'll take a little bit. But, the good thing is people are noticing on it. And word starts to get around, that makes a difference, I believe. So, more visible, when more visible things happen like that, it'll turn that tide pretty quick.
Yeah. It's just kind of a sign of a well-rounded team. Everybody in the lineup can't be, a big bopper. Everybody's not going to hit, granted they all swing like they are, but you get these guys to actually do what they're good at, good things are going to happen. Wes, you've seen some of it too, I'm sure, right?
Well, it's interesting. What I see now that I've never saw before. We've always had the guys that you knew could rush it up there, that you were going to have a hard time. It wasn't going to be an easy night for you in the box when you were hitting. But we always knew who these guys were. But I've never seen in my life more fastballs that on today's gun are 92. They're normally they're 89 to 88 back in the mid 80s. But I've never seen so many fastballs that were average or below swung and missed in my life. They're right down the middle. And it's to a point of hitting is now become mechanical for the most part in the big leagues. Mechanical. It's not, and I say this all the time. For 100 years, the pitcher has had a plan to get a hitter out. The catcher's had a plan to get the hitter out. The defense plays in a place to prepare for that hitter where he's going to hit the ball. If the hitter is the only one that doesn't have a plan, what he's going to do at the plate, how smart is that? And that's what we have right now in a big part of the game. I've watched guys flip up the ball where their fastball, they're going to throw 50% changeups per se. Just use Jamie Moyer for an example. Somebody like that that's flipping it up there. Why would you ever look fastball ever, like ever in your life? You're going to sit soft all the time and you'll be able to react to any kind of fastball, because a fastball from somebody that's throwing at 87 miles an hour is 85. And if you can't react to a fastball sitting on soft, you shouldn't be playing. Point being, if you sit soft all the time against Dallas Keuchel, if you sit soft every time, you're going to get them. I'm talking about every pitch. But what does that have to do with launch angle or anything like that? What I just said, it doesn't have anything to do with it. But these kids, I worry that we're going to lose a whole generation of hitters thinking the proper way when they get in the box. That's what I'm worried. If we don't fix it, and I put a lot of the onus on Tony Clark, and I don't know what you think, Kev, but Tony Clark, somebody's got to get to him and step up and say, we need to get the game back.
Well, there's two things that I've noticed along those lines that are huge. And I think Aaron Judge said it about a month ago. He got caught looking against Ottavino, and he said, I was thinking too much. That goes back to the Legion of Nerds. The Legion of Nerds, all they do is pump information to you, right? And all of a sudden, you're overthinking and you're guessing. You're not hitting anymore. You're guessing. That's why there are so many fastballs. It's unbelievable. And not only that, bad sliders. A backup slider now is like the best pitch in the world. A slider that doesn't slide, that kind of goes this way because they're all expecting to go this way. And so these hitters, they're getting too much information. And there is such a thing as too much information. I find it very interesting that Tatis, Guerrero, Vlad Jr., these guys are sons of major leaguers from a different generation. They go up there to hit. They're not thinking, they're hitting. And I think you're seeing that now. It's coming to fruition because those, they're having great years. And for the most part, Tatis is up and down a little bit sometimes, but Vlad Jr., he's going up there. I've seen him in one game last week. He'll hit a home run, but then when they pitch him away, he'll hit it, and second base is open. He'll hit it through the hole. He's hitting, and he's doing a great job. A lot of the other hitters, because they're hitters are. They're trying to. Most hitters are trying to. They're nice people. They want to try to. Somebody's coming with information or taking all that information. They need to shut it down like Judge did, kind of, and just stop thinking, start hitting. And again, everything that's bad in baseball comes back to the nerds. If you go with that mindset, it all makes sense. And these nerds, when they come down or they're sending me stuff, just say, no, that's okay. I'll take some of the information, but I'm not taking it all. And that's what hitters have to do. Odora, the bunt the other day. What's happened with the Yankees is Cashman went with his Legion of Nerds. Now he's desperate. I'm sure some of the good baseball people are saying, no, let's bring up the switch hitting outfielder from the minor leagues who can run. Let's do this. Let's do that. Let's bring baseball back into the equation. And it works. And it also showed some of the Red Sox flaws. They have some defensive flaws. So I think the Yankees, it may be too late, but I think they came upon something in the last two games.
I agree with you. And, I mean, just to go back to what you were saying about Aaron Judge saying he was thinking too much, I met Jack Flaherty at an event, and my nephew is 7 years old and a huge Cardinals fan. My brother-in-law's from St. Louis area. So, I got him to sign something for my nephew, 7. And what he wrote on there, he said to Lincoln, don't think, Jack Flaherty. Now, don't think has been, a mantra for ages. And all of a sudden, now it's thinking too much. Just don't think.
1970, I'm playing high school baseball. My coach goes to me, if you think, you stink.
See?
I remember that ever since. So I agree. If you think, every time I've told everyone from A-Rod to Judge to Alonso to David Wright that comment, they light up just like you did and say, I love that. That's a great point.
There's a difference between thinking and knowing. And there is a big difference between that when you get in the box. I will say forever, it's always like, like I mentioned, you have to have an idea, a plan of what you want to do. Now, some would equate that with thinking. Yeah, it is thinking, but it's doing my doggone homework. And it had nothing to do with any analytics. It had to do with how this guy is throwing me versus how he's throwing my teammate versus the situation he's in versus his best pitch. And the whole goal of hitting is to get yourself in a better position in a better count against the pitcher. The pitcher is never, ever going to throw his second best pitch to you when he has to throw a strike. He's not going to do it. They're not comfortable doing it. But there's a great game that goes on with the greatest hitters in the world over the past century versus the greatest pitchers. I mean, Manny Ramirez, if you watched him hit, he hit some pitches no different than Albert did that were down and away. And you said, how in the hell did he hit that ball out of the yard down the line? Well, he was sitting on the thing because he knew that was what was going to happen. Whether it was because the previous pitch, as I always just tell my hitters, take a peek behind to look at the catcher on every pitch to see where he was setting up. Because if it's a fastball away and he was setting up in, that tells you right off the bat, that'll tell you something right there. But so many people, I mean, it's a beautiful game. It really is. It's an awesome game, and hitting and pitching and all that stuff is just so awesome. We don't get to see that anymore. To your point though, Kev, Vlad Guerrero, he's hitting in the 3-hole. He leads the major leagues in hitting and RBIs. He's a throwback. I wish he wouldn't be calling him a throwback. He's just a damn good hitter.
Well, and the other thing on that, it works for pitchers too. When I say if you think, you stink, I'm not talking about not thinking at all. You have your game plan before you go in, okay? But then you got to just let your body react. Who else has suddenly changed? Let's think about it for a second. Garrett Cole. What's he doing? He's not sequencing anymore from Matt Blake, the teenage pitching coach. Mm-hmm. He's not sequencing. He's pitching. He's going with his best stuff. He's commanding the fastball. He's challenging guys. And now he's pitching a complete game, or it's a rain. He's pitching in the rain. He pitches a great game against the Red Sox. It's using what you have best. Again, getting back to nerds, they want to change. They want to make it a game where it's all about outguessing the opposition. Sometimes it's just about challenging the guy. Here's my best stuff, and the hitter saying, "I can hit your best stuff." That's what we love about baseball. I see the game getting back to that a little bit more with the really smart players.
All right, so I'm going to go around and get everybody's final thoughts about what we're going to see probably in the second half of the season, or you know what, whatever the hell you want. It's your final thought. You say whatever you guys want. I'll start with you, Rocco.
All right, final, rest of the season I'll be looking for, like I said, the pennant races. The trade deadline, I think, is going to be more exciting than the pennant races. As I said, I think a lot of the playoff field is pretty well established with a few here and there. So I'll be looking forward to that. My other final thought was I always like looking at the draft and seeing who has relatives or connections that are picked. Kevin mentioned those connections before, are always interesting. I thought it was interesting that Darren Baker, Dusty's son, was drafted by the Nationals. The little kid who was pulled out of the way in the 2002 World Series. Now he's picked by the Nationals. That was great. I saw Whitey Ford's great nephew was drafted. And also Christian Hackenberg's brother. So there's a little smorgasbord for you.
Nice. Excellent. Wes, I'll go to you.
But just a couple things. I was just thinking today, like when we're out on social media and we're talking and people are listening to us, it appears to me that many just say, "Oh, there's a bunch of guys get off my lawn stuff. You're looking at the clouds and everything else." If you're out there and you're listening to this, just understand this. If you listen to what we're saying, you might understand what we're saying. If you understand why we're trying to get the game of baseball back to where we know it's at its best, just listen to what we're saying. You're not seeing the game at its best, and this is all you're seeing out there. I mean, just understand we're doing it because we love the game. And when you have not just hundreds, you have thousands of ex-major league players that are sitting right next to us. We're talking for them. So I would just say, be a little bit more cautious with your responses back. Just understand, listen to what we're saying. Just listen. Just listen is all we're asking. And the other thing, I will say this, Tony Clark, if anybody gets this to Tony Clark, Tony, the ball's in your court in the offseason. It's right there for you to step up to help get the game back to the right track where it needs to be.
I like it. So we'll see if Tony Clark can do anything. We'll see what power he has. And now, the last word, Kevin Kernan.
Well, like many of these things that we talk about, and Rocco just talked about the pulling a young Baker kid away. I was at that game, and of course
You were.
JT Snow.
Yeah, JT Snow, right? Exactly. And so my point, I'm going to lead into this. I was at that game. Dusty was there. Dusty obviously was there. And now, where's Dusty now? Well, Dusty's doing a hell of a job, and all of a sudden, Tony La Russa, he's doing a hell of a job. I'm rooting for the old guys who are a little bit more. You don't see it with Dusty as much, but I can tell you right now, Dusty, if he sees a mistake made, he will address it with the player. He won't embarrass him, but he'll take care of it. La Russa, same way. And we saw it early in the year when he did it with Mercedes, when 3-0 swing. And again, people and the nerds, this is right to you nerds. You don't know the game. The reason La Russa went after him there was because he didn't want the other team to get so upset that maybe the next game they throw one at Tim Anderson and hit him in the hand and break his hand, and they lose their shortstop for the rest of the year. That's what it's about, nerds, okay? It's got nothing to do with having fun, letting the kids be kids, okay, and 3-0 swing. So understand the game before you talk about it. You don't understand it, that's what that's all about. So I want to see the old guys do well, make it to the postseason, and that's going to help baseball get back to being baseball.
I love it. And, I agree with everybody. I mean, obviously, I have nothing to add. That's how good that was. So thank you. So now we are going to go from the good to possibly the ugly. Rocco Constantino, our ombudsman. What'd we screw up, buddy?
All right, I got some unbudding to do. The All-Star Game ratings, 8.24 million, which was the second lowest of all time compared to the last one, 2019. Oh. But the difference was it was less than 1%. So basically nobody's watching the All-Star Game. 1980, by comparison, the All-Star viewership was 30 million people.
Wow.
Damon Berryhill, in the Benito Santiago story, Damon Berryhill was the batter, not Mark Grace. But everything else was perfect. Trio on second. Don Zimmer's quote to end that up after the game. Zimmer said, Santiago tried to catch us napping. He ended up catching his own player napping. We'll take it. And then last, I got to give credit on this. 1996, Bip Roberts reported with an oblique injury. Actually, there was a little rash of obliques on the Royals at the time. Bip Roberts, David Howard, Tom Goodwin, Bob Hamlin, all out with obliques in September of '96. The newspaper had to write an article explaining what an oblique injury was. And in the article, it said the Royals were calling around to other teams asking what the hell oblique injuries are. So, that's impressive.
That's good homework there, Rocco.
Yeah, no, that was some good work right there. Well, listen, guys, I want to thank you guys for coming on. We'll do this again soon. I want to thank Kevin Kernan, Wes Clemens, and Rocco Constantino. I'm Chris Vitali. This has been the BallNine Roundhouse. Catch you next time. You were at the point where you said if the throw was any more accurate, he'd be dead. And then Santiago, and then that was it. You cut off at Santiago. You looked like you were going to say something good. You froze like you looked pissed. It was great.
Oh God, I got to do it again.